Hey Fairfield, how you doing? You are watching another exciting episode of Fairfield 2.0, where we introduce Fairfield to Fairfield and the world. And today's lucky victim is T. Liptek. T is part of, as you can see, Boom Fitness on his shirt here. There you go. And Boom Fitness is one of the more exciting new businesses in town because it takes an approach to physical fitness that I think is, I personally have been there, and we are going to be showing some footage in addition to this interview of what we did the day we visited the gym. And there's some really unique things about this gym and this fitness program that we're going to talk about right now. T, how you doing?
Doing quite well. How are you today?
Pretty good.
Good.
T, let's start from the beginning. Where did the idea come from to start up another gym in town?
Okay, so my partner Jeff Stone and I, we've been active our entire lives. We've been doing fitness things. And we were looking to just do something a little bit different. So we tried many of the traditional methods of working out. We played sports in high school, we were very active. We went into the gym, we lifted weights. And we discovered a different workout program that we found online, something called CrossFit. And it's becoming more and more popular. The idea with CrossFit is that it's functional fitness. Functional fitness? Yes. Okay. So, functional fitness, the definition of that is movements you'd actually use in real life.
Okay.
Full body movements. You can also think of them as compound movements. So it's going to be starting at your core, moving to an extremity. It's full body. And these are movements you see in your everyday life. You're going to be picking up things. You're going to be walking. You're going to be closing doors. All of those would be a functional movement.
Okay.
And the workout regimen that we follow, it takes those movements and puts them in a structured format. And the idea is that's what the body needs to do to be able to adapt.
Okay. Yeah. When you have somebody just come in for the first time, do you and they say, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm looking at here. What do you do to introduce them to the regimen and maybe to the gym itself?
Okay, so in general what we do is we just run them through some of the movements that they'd be expecting to see when they come in to do an actual workout, and then obviously the benefits to them. When someone comes in at the end of the day, what they're looking for is their personal benefits. You go to a gym, you're looking to see if it's going to work for you and if you're going to get results. Right. If those aren't happening, I'd say hopefully everybody wouldn't choose that program. They should choose something that does work for them.
Right.
So when they first come in, we'll go through what we do and why we think it will work for each person. And the idea with us is those functional movements are the basic human necessities. So if you do those well, you're going to be quite capable in real life.
Right.
And we feel that everybody needs to be capable. And it doesn't matter if you're a high school athlete who's just naturally in pretty good shape without doing a whole lot, or you're in your 50s and 60s and you're just looking to be mobile. Your basic needs are going to be very similar. So through that, our approach to fitness is addressing those basic needs. And wherever you are, so you can come in your first day and you can be looking at all these people working out, and everybody's doing the same workout, but it's scaled. So whereas the high school athlete that we just spoke about, who is in good shape naturally, they've been playing high school football, and they're pretty strong, and they can run quickly, they're going to be doing the same workout you are, but modified. So what I mean by that is they may be doing more weight. They may be changing a movement so that it's a little bit more difficult. And then obviously the reverse too. If we have our middle of the pack and then our people who are just starting, and for them we really scale the movements so that it's anything is doable.
Right.
You just need to find the proper modification for it.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you're getting any less benefit. You might be getting more benefit, but we just have to find the point that you're able to do it, and then once you're able to do it, we challenge you just a little bit, but that's how the body adapts, by being challenged. So if you come in on your first day, walk you through all of that, we'll talk about your personal goals, what you're looking to get out of the program, and then go through how we as trainers are going to get you there, and then from that point, people have questions, and we go through that.
Okay, so you're familiar with all the different age groups, obviously, because you have that's your age range as far as Boom Gym, right?
Yeah, we have everything from I teach a kids class, so I think our youngest is 3, who's coming in, and then we have a couple people in their late 60s who are also coming. So
that's
everything in between.
Nice. The 3-year-old. What do you do for the younger? Now we're not talking about high school. We're talking about, let's say, preschool.
Yeah.
What do you do with the preschooler?
I keep it very basic. We have essentially just let them run around with a little bit of guidance and make sure they're not. The great thing about kids is they're fearless,
right?
And that's wonderful in many, many ways. But there's also, you got to keep an eye on them at some point when they're hanging on a bar. You got to be there to spot them,
right?
But for the most part, we just let them use their bodies, and that's what if they just maintain that throughout their lives, they're going to be in pretty good shape. If they just keep running around, they're hanging on stuff, they're swinging on things, they're tumbling on the ground. That's great. So for the little ones, that's what they're doing.
Nice. We should, by the way, we should probably insert right about here where Boom Fitness is located.
Yeah, great. It's 210 West Low. So that's over in the old Ideal Ready Mix building, for those of you who are familiar with that. If not, Low Street, it's West Low, so it's down by Everybody's and BP, over by the train tracks. That's still confusing, what you can do is go to our website, which is boom, BOOM 641.com, and then there's a link that'll give you directions to it.
All right, getting back to the routines now. What are some of the programs? Well, actually, I had another kind of question first, which is you have the different. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's just modified.
Yes.
Certain things. Okay. And is it scheduled in such a way that everybody's doing it at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'll expand on this a little further.
Yeah.
What you have when you come in is we have a level system. So on your first day, you're going to be level 1. And you also walk into the gym, and we have a big whiteboard that has all the workouts written on it. So we have a level 1 workout. So on your first day, that's what you're going to be doing. And that level 1 workout is very similar to level 2 and level 3 workouts, but the movements are just modified. So for example, some people might be doing pull-ups. Level 2 and level 3 people might be doing pull-ups, which are a difficult movement, or maybe even muscle-ups. You have some footage of us doing that. That's the next tier. But if you're level 1, first day you're probably not going to be doing pull-ups, and that's totally fine. So there's a modified movement that we have with that. Either you can put your feet in a big rubber band and do pull-ups, so it provides some support for you, or we have another modification called a ring row, which just helps develop strength so that you can do a pull-up.
Do you find any limitations as far as age ranges?
Obviously. I mean, with the 3-year-old, there's going to be,
I was thinking older. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, once you hit, post high school, once you're a college guy, and you have guys up into their 60s. Mm-hmm. So do you notice, are there certain evaluations that you make for the client, so that, A, they're not hurting themselves, B, they're getting the most out of their workout, and C, they're not hurting themselves.
Yes.
I would be considered.
Yeah, that comes down to also when you're picking a workout program. You gotta look at a couple things. First of all, is it gonna be safe? And that's very, very important, and we stress that a huge amount.
Great.
Mostly that comes down to technique. And that means when you're doing a movement that you're doing it correctly. There's always a correct way to move and an incorrect way.
Right.
And naturally the body does want to move correctly, but you're going to need some correction, especially as you get older. You start having issues in one area, I'm sure you've experienced, and how that transitions to the rest of the body. So you start compensating for it. So we have to break through all that. And that is something we put a huge amount of focus on.
Cool.
Yeah, the next thing, obviously it needs to be safe, and then also you want it to be effective. So it's a constant balance between those two things. I think
the one issue that's always been the basis of the fear of people who are afraid to go to the gym, let's say, or they don't want to go there because they have a certain image of what happens at the gym. I guess I'm talking about people that are either new or people who've done it for a while and just have gotten burned out on going to a gym. How do you get them back in? How do you alleviate their fears? And for instance, somebody doesn't want to go in there because they're so out of shape. They don't want to be seen out of shape among their peers. How do you kind of fight that? They'd obviously come in at level 1, but how long would like a level 1 take before it turns the corner so they could feel a little more proud, at least among their peers? Yeah,
that's a great question, and it breaks down to a couple of things. First of all, the fear is very real, and we see that that's our biggest struggle. I think with most gyms, that is the hump to get over. We need people to come and do their first workout. And we've seen that most people, once they take that step, they're like, oh, this is something I can do. I do feel comfortable in it. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that helps people in that is the community support that our gym provides.
Huh.
So with it being a class structure, when you come into the gym, you warm up together with an instructor, you go through all the movements together, just the technique for everything, going back to the safety of it.
Yeah.
And then you all go through the workout together. So you have your group, everybody's doing the workout together, but, depending on their level, it's slightly modified.
With an instructor all the time?
With an instructor the entire time.
Cool.
And then once it's finished, obviously people finish at different times. We kind of joke that the person who finishes last is the one who gets the most applause. So if it's your first day, you might be finishing last. And that's totally great. Everybody else has been there. So that's the nice thing. You're dealing with a group of people who are pushing themselves. And it doesn't matter if you're the best there or you're the new person.
Right.
Because everybody's challenging themselves and then growing in that. And, for me as an instructor, for the people who have been there a while, watching the new people come in and do well and just make that first step, that's the most exciting thing for us.
You know what I feel like, too, knowing you a little, too, and knowing you, seeing you around town and all that, and seeing how you interact with people, from my opinion, there's a bit of a mentor thing that you have in you. It's sort of like an intuitive thing that I think that you've got, I to whatever degree I might have it. There are some people that just have that. So being somebody who's overseeing somebody's program, somebody's regimen in a gym, and even make for them and all that, you're evaluating on different levels. You're evaluating maybe from the physical level. You're evaluating maybe from the fact that this woman's whatever's a little scared. But aren't you also thinking in the back of your head, no matter sort of what they're telling you they want out of the program, are you also kind of guiding them a little bit more towards, what you may want to do? You may want to also add this because this will help this. In other words, you being the ultimate sort of like the guru to know, the expert as far as where they maybe should get to beyond what they're thinking.
It depends on people's goals a lot. A lot of times people come into the gym and they say, I just want to be healthy. And for me, I'm not going to try and divert from that goal at all. That is what we want for people. We want them to be moving well. We want them to feel good, both physically and mentally. There's a huge amount of benefits to working out beyond just the physical side.
Right.
People feel confident, they feel good, they're better at work, they sleep better. So those are the goals that personally I want to see for them. And if they're not going towards that, yes, I will kind of poke them in that direction.
Yeah, because I feel like in a way they're coming to the gym to be challenged anyway in some respect. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, can you take them even further out of the safety zone? You know what I mean? Because there's potential there. Everybody has so much more potential than they know. And I imagine it can be maybe frustrating for somebody who's a coach or an instructor to look at somebody and go, man, I wish they could just push a little bit harder and stuff.
It's not really frustrating. That's just something people need to work through. And watching them break the boundary is the exciting part. And obviously there's a process to get them through that point. And that's just a given for everybody. Wherever you're at, you can always do a little bit better. And we're there to support them in that.
Yeah.
You don't want to challenge them too much that they get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
But it depends on the person a lot too. This is another very interesting thing about coaching is you begin to realize what motivates people. And there are people that, yelling at them and telling them, come on, push it, you can do better than this. That is what motivates them. And for other people, that is a huge, huge turnoff. And they don't want that at all. They want to be supported. They want you to be telling them that they're doing a great job the entire time, and they are doing a great job. So sometimes you need to appeal to that.
Yeah.
And that's just something you learn as you coach, what motivates people, and then through that, you can motivate them.
And you learned about motivation, I bet, this summer when you were working with the kids at Fairfield High, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little about that.
Okay, so what we did there is we had an 8-week strength and conditioning program for all of the local high school, Fairfield High School's athletes.
Right.
So it was a huge range from the football players to the girls' cross-country team. With everything in between. And with that, it was a huge amount of fun in the sense that you had a very broad base of athletes and what they were naturally good at. So obviously a lot of the football players, they go to the weight room every day. And they're strong, you put them under some pounds and they're feeling great. And then you ask them to go to the track and run a mile and they're like, oh man, are you kidding me? I don't want to do that. And then some of the other people, it's the complete opposite. You got the cross-country team, and they're, we'll run 10 miles, tell us, we'll run all day. But you want us to lift that? Oh, man. So for us, that was really, really interesting to see and kind of trying to find a middle point for that.
Is there any kind of challenge, like there are certain, just as I was saying before about, you want to push them that much more. These kids, you can push that much more. So
they have the natural physical base. Yeah. But for me, in 8 weeks, you can only do so much on the physical side. I hope we provided a good foundation for them with the strength movements.
And how often did you meet with them?
3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 in the morning. So this is the summer break for these kids, and we had...
Yes, summer break. Yeah. 6 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly, but they're still showing up. So we
nice.
had 80 kids a couple times, pretty good numbers throughout the whole program.
Was it mandatory for the teams?
It was not mandatory, so it was their choice, and they were still showing up.
Oh.
And for me, with the 8 weeks, you can only gain so much strength in 8 weeks. Even if you're really consistent with it, only so much is going to happen. Same with conditioning. You can do a little bit more with conditioning in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I tried to stress with them was the mental side.
Okay.
And a large part of what we do is task-oriented. So when you come into the gym, the workout's written on the board, and it will be presented as a task. Get through this movement, this movement, this movement, and do several rounds of it. So for the kids, I tried to structure it in a way that would be especially challenging for them mentally. So for example, it would be, they do a couple different movements. They might, run 200 meters, do some push-ups, run another 200 meters, do some push-ups, and then I'd give them a big chunk of work. So do 150 air squats after that.
Huh.
And getting through that 150 air squats is very mental. They're all capable of doing it, but how fast they do it is just how bad they want it.
Uh-huh.
And for me, as an athlete, I've experienced that the team in high school or individual, playing an individual sport that wants it more and can push that little extra bit, it comes to the fourth quarter, it comes to the last lap, whatever sport you're playing.
Yeah.
If you just have that little mental edge, you have a huge advantage over your opposition.
Is the point of this so you can show them they can do better?
Exactly.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah, nothing breeds success like confidence.
Yeah. Nice. And now, let's go back because you mentioned, you threw it out there. You're an athlete. What is your personal history? What kind of sports did you play? And
Okay, I did a handful of things. I ran track a little bit, pretty fast doing that. And then I played tennis.
There's an award or two in your past also, isn't there?
Yeah, a couple of things. With track, I ran a 4:58 mile when I was 10, which I wish I could run 4:58 mile now, but I was a little speedster. Yeah, and then played tennis.
Played tennis.
Quite serious into that for a while.
Who were your teachers?
Chris Armstrong is my original teacher, and he is fantastic. A lot of inspiration has come from him in terms of me being a coach, because he's a fantastic coach. And the reason MSC, I would say, Mr. Iyer played a role in that, but also Chris Armstrong, he really set up all of those very good players to be successful. So if you remember Tyler Cleveland, who went off and played professional tennis, and Aaron Clark, all of those people worked with Chris, and he's a very, very good coach. So
Nice.
I was lucky to have him for a while.
Did you have any? I don't want to throw it out there like this, but did you get to where you wanted to in tennis?
Yes and no. Unfortunately, Chris moved away.
Nah.
So
Chris, come back to Fairfield.
He's back now. So
Hi, Chris. Nice to have you on the show.
You can take a lesson with him, and if you're into tennis and you're curious, I'd highly recommend it.
Very nice.
But he moved away when I was 13. That is the developmental period. I've been playing for a couple of years at that point. I was doing quite well, but he moved away. So unfortunately, it kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
At that point, and started doing some other things too.
I was going to ask you, what other sports did you play?
I also played soccer.
Soccer.
I really love soccer. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Just run around. And then bike riding as well.
Oh, right. Biking in this area is pretty popular. I
Yeah.
guess. It's more popular.
The Bike Fest years ago really cultivated it for a lot of kids. I remember doing that and having a really fun time with it.
Oh, man. You grew up here.
Yes.
You grew up in Fairfield. So over the years, I'm going to ask you a Fairfield question. We'll get off the beaten path here for a little bit, but having grown up in Fairfield, what do you make of all this? Like, what do you feel like is some of the benefits of having grown up in Fairfield?
There's a lot of possibilities to that. For me, first of all, I was born in Fairfield Hospital. I was raised by my parents. They were over on the MSE side. I went to MSE for many years. My dad was a teacher there, both athletic director and then a teacher. So I've experienced that side a lot. My sister, on the other hand, she's currently going to Fairfield High School, really enjoying it, having a good experience. So I've sort of seen both worlds.
Yeah.
For me, I went to University of Iowa. I've traveled quite a bit, and I keep coming back. And what I see is just the people here are different, and they're, I would like to say, more self-aware. They're more in touch with themselves. And for me, that's a huge draw. You go out into the world, people are very superficial. They're looking and, a lot of them are doing great things. They're working very hard. But they're picking one specific area of their life, putting a huge amount of focus into it, and neglecting others.
Yeah.
So for me, both with the gym, I want my athletes to be well-rounded and capable in whatever they're doing. Yeah. But that also transitions to the rest of their lives. I'd like them to be balanced. I'd like them to, be physical, do really great at their jobs, find the mental side, find the spiritual side, get rest.
Nutrition.
Nutrition. Very, very important. That is the basis. And when people come into the gym, we talk about that a lot. Because you can work out all day long, but if you're not eating well and you're not resting, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Okay, perfect. What are a couple of the basics that people should absolutely be doing?
Okay, first
just
of all,
in general, just to sort of let's say before they get to your gym, before they knock on that door, just in general, what should they be doing, to stay alive?
Yeah, sleeping is easy to neglect these days. You flip on the TV, you find something interesting, you start watching a TV show, 5 episodes later, you're like, wow, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Netflix!
Yes, exactly. Or you're checking Facebook, or your email. There's so many distractions, information so accessible. Sleep. Just, be like, I'm going to turn the light off at 10:30 and get to bed. So that is a huge, huge thing for people.
Yeah.
Sure, anyone, if you, then go to bed for a week at 10:30, ask them at the end of the week how they feel, they're gonna be like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah. So
that's one basis. The next, with nutrition, people know what good food is. It's funny. People are like, what should I eat? I'm like, you know what good food is. For example, if it's something you can sit on your counter and it looks exactly the same 3 months later, you probably don't want to be putting that in your body.
What about freezer food? A lot of people throw things in the freezer so they can put it in their microwave, which I guess is another issue.
Yeah, same thing. Stick it on your counter, see what happens. One interesting thing is if you go to a grocery store, in general, the packaged food is all in the middle.
Yeah.
So shop on the outside of a grocery store, and you'll see, for example, everybody's in town. They have all their produce, the milk, the fresh food, the nuts and grains. It's all on the outside.
See, this is great. It's like functional fitness. Shop on the outside of the aisles. This is great.
It becomes a lifestyle. That's what we see for people. They come into the gym, they start working out. The next step, we don't even need to push too much, is they do start eating better. If you're putting your body through a challenge, you're going to want to get the most you can out of it.
You don't want to put any more junk in there.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, I'm working out. Maybe I shouldn't have the soda. Maybe I should, have some juice or whatever you want to do. And then they're like, wow, I'm tired. Maybe I should go to bed so I can be rested for my workout tomorrow.
How long is a workout, by the way?
Okay, great question. It's an hour. The actual workout portion, though, is very short. What we're looking for is, the idea is that workouts don't need to be very long, but they need to be relatively intense. So for us, you're going to come in, you're going to warm up 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to talk about the workout of the day, the movements for that. If you're new, we'll go through them, teach you how to do it.
Cool.
And then the actual workout portion, I'd say in general, is between 5 and 15 minutes. Sometimes it goes longer, sometimes goes a little shorter, but that doesn't mean it's any easier. Some of the really short workouts are incredibly challenging in the sense that if you push your body, you can think, for example, a 400-meter runner. If they go out and they sprint 400 meters, they're going to be really, really tired.
Right.
If you ask someone to change the duration of that, so they run a 400-meter, they go out and run 400 meters, and you give them 3 hours to do it. Obviously, their body is not going to be challenged or taxed very much.
Right.
So with that, same thing can be applied to working out and functional fitness, which is what we do.
Well, I can tell you, the thing you taught me the day that we went to the gym, and by the way, we got to have some of the footage. We're going to talk about things like the rings. Before I do that, though, and I think we have some footage on this also. The air squats. Mm-hmm. The air squats are wonderful because people who don't think they can do it because they have bad knees or whatever, you're using, the way you're teaching it is you're using a different part of the body. You're not focusing on the knees per se. You're focusing on just keeping the body straight. And with that, the gravity is in a different part of the body, so it's not putting a lot of pressure on the knees. Yep. And I respected that. It was sort of like, oh, that's what that is. That's how that's supposed to feel.
People are terrified of squatting, yet you're sitting in a chair and you're going to stand up. It's the same thing.
It's the same functional fitness.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to do these things to keep them alive for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Now, what about now? You have some other fun stuff at the gym, like the rings. Mm-hmm. A level 1 person probably is not working the rings.
Nope.
How do you get to that point? This was your whole life you've been doing this, so I know that you particularly
Yes and no. The rings are something new for me too.
Yeah.
They're extraordinarily challenging in the sense that all the stabilizing muscles need to be very strong. So it's not like you hang from a bar. The bar's not going anywhere. It's just your body in the bar. With the rings, if you pull a little off center, they're moving.
Yeah.
So with that, it's very challenging. The reason I started doing that is the workout program that we've been following. It's not a big part of it, but it is a part of it. And a year ago, I couldn't do any of that stuff. So for me, I'm still growing and learning just as much as the new person who comes in. And that's why this has remained fun and engaging for Jeff and I. It's why we started it, because we just enjoyed it and we wanted to share it with people.
Okay, so you have Jeff with you, Jeff Stone, who's the co-founder. And also you have Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel Bloom.
Daniel Bloom.
And he's been great. We're all CrossFit L1. We have our level 1 certificates.
Cool.
So we've taken a course to do that. There's a test that goes with it. Then we also have Maddie Koch, who's an MUM student, and Jada Foster. They're both going to get their L1 certifications for CrossFit about 2 weeks, actually. And they've been teaching a women's only class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 in the morning, with supervision from one of the other instructors. So we have that. Also Andrew Perry, who I assume you know.
Yes.
Quite present in town. He teaches kickboxing.
Wow.
Monday and Wednesday at 7:15. People really enjoy that.
Nice.
It's fun. It's just you come, you work out, and then you get to apply it to something.
Nice. And this is a growing thing.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to just keep adding. Do you see that the regimens could be expanded too? Like, in other words, as you're growing in your knowledge and watching your gym and watching the people in the gym, are you coming up with some other stuff that you want to add to the regimens?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's constantly evolving. And that's the idea. We pick, basically what we do is we take a combination of Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting, which sounds scary, but you start at the very, very beginnings of that with a 1 pound PVC pipe, not even a pound.
Right, and I noticed, right, as opposed to the metal, you have the PVC pipes.
Yeah, so you start with the very basics, and you learn to do the movement correctly and safely. Those are sort of the de facto ways to build strength. You look at any major strength conditioning program in the NFL, pretty much any sport, be it any higher level of sport competition, they're going to be using those movements because they're fantastic for building full body functional strength. Then we do gymnastics, but gymnastics in a very broad sense. So everything from a push-up to the things on the rings that we showed.
The jump rope.
Mm-hmm.
The jump rope too?
Yeah, jump rope would fall under metabolic conditioning. So running, jump roping, rowing machine, bike riding, swimming. We take all of those elements and we combine them into workouts. So with that, there's obviously a huge array of possibilities. And yet, yes, we're open to taking anything that's proven to work.
Nice. And like you said, and anybody, any age basically can come to Boom Fitness. And all right, let's one more time. Let's tell everybody where Boom Fitness is and also where they can find you on the internet.
Okay, so you can find us boom641.com. That's BOOM 641.com. You can also look us up on Facebook, Boom Fitness, and then our location. We're located at 210 West Low. And that's in Fairfield, over by Everybody's in BP, old Ideal Ready Mix building. If you can't find that for some reason, just check out the website. There's both directions and a phone number. We can walk you through over the phone how to get there. Yeah,
don't do the navigation thing. That never works in Fairfield. I don't know. I can never get anywhere here. All right. We've been talking with T. Liptak from Boom Fitness. And, of course, all the best. Every time I interview you, this one has to be the charm. Because we tried once before, and then we actually had a scheduled one. I'm really glad this worked out. And definitely come back here. Bring your pals. Maybe next time, maybe we can bring a couple of people and show maybe some progress.
Yeah. That'd be great.
And again, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned because we have some more exciting Fairfield 2.0 in just a second. Very, very proud to and honored to have Jim Kerwin here with us. Jim Kerwin just played Cafe P, and it was a really great experience. And Jim is one of the great musicians that are out there. I don't even know where to begin with this. Let's start the discussion with Jim. Who are some of those? Well, no. Actually, let's talk about this big fiddle you got here.
Oh, you want to get right to the answer?
Let's get there first.
Well, yeah, this is sitting right in front of me, and it kind of takes up most of the room. Yeah, this is a sweet bass that I fell in love with way before I met it. Actually, I was looking for something just like this. This is a bass that was built in Paris, France, in 1850. And I don't know how it came over here. I don't know anything its back history, but one thing I know, whoever had it, or the many people that owned it, took great care of it because it's in perfect condition. I'm a little bit afraid to carry it around, but as it turns out, it's really my voice now. I don't carry this around when I travel with David Grisman or other people that I work with. I can't fly with this. It's too valuable. I'm too emotionally attached to this instrument. But yeah, this is a very valuable instrument, as it turns out. I'm finding out.
How many miles do you have to drive with this? Where do you live right now?
I live in Pacifica, California, just south of San Francisco, on the peninsula, on the ocean, where it's nice and moist and cool. And I bring it out here. I have to worry about you know, the heat and the humidity. But everything is fine, and
so far so good. Is there a trap door on this thing?
No, there's no trap door.
Okay.
That's a W.C. Fields movie, right?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Yeah. I wish I had, you know, looking back over the years, I learned to play guitar, kind of, piano, kind of. But I look at an instrument like this, and there's such an attachment. Everybody who plays a bass or cello, there's an look at the way you're holding it right now. There's an intimate relationship between your instruments. I know that there's one between a guitar, sure, and it's sort of like stereotypes. But this is different. This is almost sensual.
Yeah, well, in order to play it and to play it right, you need to use your whole body to play it. Right now I'm sitting on a chair, and I do that kind of just to keep me centered. But I typically play standing up, and it's really good to move around when you play one of these things, because you can really tighten up. I have students that's a big issue. You have to be able to be very supple in everything, and you have to breathe and everything, because it's a physically difficult instrument to play. You could hurt yourself if you do it the wrong way.
Right.
And the best way to keep yourself supple is to move and to dance with the music. When I'm playing these fiddle tunes with the bow, it's a little bit more precious, and I have to really center, to play it in tune and all of that. So, and especially if I'm playing in a session or a studio in front of a microphone, I can't really move it around too much. So I've learned to center myself for this. But yeah, it's quite a unique instrument. You can't help but kind of have this kind of tactile love affair relationship with it. Yeah.
Now, you're one of your great claims to fame. A couple of your great claims to fame is beyond your own play, beyond the legend of your playing, is that you cross a lot of genres in your playing. It's like you've got jazz, you've sort of got an indie thing going because of the progressive type of experimental / improv-ish stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about where did you experiment to come up with the style you're in right now? Was it because of the interacting with all the musicians from over the years, or was there something that you were kind of just naturally falling into, or how did that come about?
All of that, really all of that. I mean, you already mentioned that, but I'll reiterate that because playing with David Grisman, I was introduced to a whole new world of what you might call the bluegrass world. But it's that, yes, definitely. And I played some real authentic bluegrass with those players. But bass isn't a big instrument. I mean, it's an important instrument. It's a fundamental instrument in bluegrass, and it's important to play it that way. Mm-hmm. But I saw the fiddle players, and I played with Vassar Clements and John Hartford, and that's the bluegrass end. I mean, I played with Stefan Grappelli and Sven Asmussen in the jazz world, and all of those players just knocked me out for their individuality and the way they've made a unique voice on what is considered a classical instrument, the violin.
Right.
And so I've been fascinated with the whole idea of what fiddle music is. So I kind of define fiddle music in my own sense, so I can then take it and put it into the bass world by what I call fiddle music is, well, I imagine a scenario way back when, some point, maybe in the Appalachian Mountains or something. You got a barn full of people that want to dance, and you've got a guy that plays the violin. They might call it a fiddle, but he knows all of the songs that everyone knows, and they've been handed down oral traditions. But they want to dance, and there's only one fiddle player, one violin player,
right?
And all of a sudden, he's got to figure out how to make the dance work. You make the bow do the dance, and you get the other strings, the open strings, and whatever double stops, as we call it, to fill out the chord. So essentially, that's what it is. Fiddle music is kind of a one-man band playing dance music, and you can find this fiddle music in all cultures, almost all cultures. If they have a string instrument, there's going to be some dance to it.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've been seeking out. I also have a fascination for melodies from around the world. When my kids were born, and they're in college now, I had this project going called Father's Lullaby. And I found international lullabies from around the world. And that's when I kind of first started doing this, where I got fascinated by the different kind of books you could find here and there, or recordings of lullabies, Pygmy lullabies and Spanish lullabies and Iraqi lullabies. Things that, wow, and
it crosses all the genres, and it crosses all the cultures.
Right. So lullabies are one thing that are very important, and very universal.
Yeah.
And I'm a father, and I wanted not necessarily to play this to my kids to go to sleep, because this will wake them right up. But I just saw the source of folk melodies, really sweet ones there. And I put it together a project. Never did record that one, but because I've been too busy being a father. Now that my kids are in college, my wife passed on about 12 years ago, so I've been, a single dad. And so now I'm finally getting to the point. I just turned 60, so I'm entering this seventh decade, and I see finally maybe I can realize some of these things that I've been working on and collecting. Now I'm out. In fact, yesterday, Cafe P,
which will be by the time this show is.
Pardon me.
But no. It was a great performance, though.
Well,
this is one of the few shows where when we're talking about it, and the whole time said where I could say I was at that show and it was a good show.
That was my debut performance of the bass fiddle project.
Nice.
And I was able to.
You integrated people from town too.
And I drove out here with my friend. We had other reasons to be out here, but he was encouraging me to do this because he told me all about Fairfield and Chris Johnson's.
Chris Johnson. Do we know Chris Johnson?
Well,
hey, Chris.
He helped stir this up, and all the way out I was going, what am I going to do? How am I going to put this together? Yeah. And I just kind of turned it into a little bit of kind of what you saw, or what you will see, and I knew that there were some great musicians out here. Tim Britton being one, and he's a world-class Irish player. And
it's amazing.
We connected. He added so much to the Celtic music I do. I know there's going to be a future between Tim and I.
Tim is amazing.
Yeah, and the other players that I had out here, David Siegel and Robert Reeder and Tom Allen, who just stepped in.
I saw that. He was your first victim too.
He was. I pulled him right up. Weeks ago. We did. We started at yesterday. We started in the morning.
Yeah.
People showing up where I was staying at Chris Johnson's hotel, and put together a show with local people I've never played with before. But we immediately had a rapport.
Yep.
I kind of went, I need this and this and this, and they said, oh, I guess I could do that.
See,
and there they were.
See it.
And it was great because they filled out what I did. I have arrangements. I have it in music, but they went right to it. They didn't have to do too much. I don't know about this.
That's why I wanted to interject because that's Fairfield. That's the Fairfield musician community. I fawn all over it in many episodes of this show, and I've never seen anything like that, where they swarm you. I mean, like, they will, and it's all about the music. It really is about the creativity. They can't help themselves. On a Sunday afternoon, Tim Britton will gather, will be in a gathering of Irish music, and they'll be playing like for an hour and a half, something like that. But it's all out of love. This isn't. They will get together and just do this. It's in there. They can't help themselves. Tom, all the people that you mentioned, right. David Siegel. Anyway, we're a couple seconds away from you playing now, and I just wanted to ask you one other question. It's kind of important to me. Have there been, because in my life right now, and in a lot of friends' lives, they seem to be making big ahas lately. I don't know, something's in the air. I don't know. But when it comes to your instrument and maybe your creativity and relationship with the instrument in that way, are there any big discoveries or ahas that you're suddenly making? I mean, even after having spent all the years that you spent with the instrument, is there something that's like, oh, I never thought of that before?
That's a really good question, and in fact, that's what keeps this all fresh for me. Because, like I say, when I saw these great fiddle players and this whole tradition, I said, I want a piece of that. But I only play the bass, and I know how to do that function of playing bass, and I know what it's like to be in a band and hold down the groove. I love that. You know, that's the best thing. But at some point, I studied classical music and studied classical technique, because I wanted to learn the rules so I could break them.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm going, well, no one says I can't do this. And each tune I find, I have to go through a whole process. I listen to someone playing that tune, you know, whatever, Katie Hill, on the clawhammer, banjo, and I listen to it on a fiddle, or I listen to it on a flat pick, and I see how, everyone has their little take on it. How can I fiddleize the bass? So that process has been lots of aha moments,
right?
And that, you know, that's what I live for. I mean, really, that's the creative process is the greatest. It gives you so much energy. I get high off that, you
nice.
know, and yeah, so
nice.
I recommend it highly.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for bringing this guy to town. Jim Kerwin, I really hope you get back here as soon as you can, because as you can see, we've got a beautiful community here, and it seems like you've already made yourself at home here. Anyway, so,
very home.
And by the way, Down in the Willow Garden that you played
Yes.
yesterday, I was singing along in the background. I know that song from the Angel Clare album by Art Garfunkel.
Nice. Oh, I have to check that out.
I was like, he's playing Down in the Willow Garden.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But thank you very, very much for
my pleasure.
for coming by, and I'm going to scoot out of here and leave you alone now.
Okay.
Take it.
Hi, I'm Jim Kerwin, and I play the bass fiddle. This is music that I've collected kind of from around the world and kind of put into a fiddle-like performance on the double bass. And this is a piece, it's kind of a great fiddler's, this is a slow piece. This is called Midnight on the Water. And so, that was a slow tune. I'm going to take this up a few notches in tempo and play an old-time fiddle tune called Katy Hill. So, I've had a passion for the double bass since I was a teenager, after I kind of got over rock and roll and playing the electric bass. And I've always really, my aspiration is to be a jazz bass player and play improvisational music. And I knew if I was going to do that, I should learn some melodies and how to play lyrically on the bass. And so that kind of led me into discovering all of these tunes, and a lot of them are from around the world. But in the meantime, I've been lucky enough to play with some really great musicians from some genre-busting musicians as David Grisman. And I played with him for 28 years in his quintet. And he gives me a lot of space to do some soloing and to play with the bow, and to make the bass a lyrical instrument. And through that connection with David, we connected with Jerry Garcia and did some really fantastic recordings with him. And one day in the studio, I was playing this little groove with the bongo player, Joe Craven, and it's got a little catchy groove. I'll play it for you in a second. And Jerry and David looked over and said, "Hey, we got to put that into a tune. How are we going to fit that into a tune? Oh, I know. Let's turn it into a blues tune, a minor blues. Oh, what's a good minor blues? The Thrill Is Gone." So we have a whole new reinterpretation of The Thrill Is Gone based on this bass drum pattern groove that I don't even know what genre this is, but it's just something came up in the studio one day. So this is The Thrill Is Gone. So yeah, I've had an interest in just finding off-the-wall pieces from different countries, and this one, I'll play one now for you that I picked up from a Norwegian musician. His name is Jan Garbarek, but I turned it into a bass fiddle tune, and I think it evokes the feeling of maybe what it's like to live in Norway, in the cold regions of the north. Now I'd like to play an old Irish piece. I'd like to play now what's considered the American Fiddler's national anthem, or Fiddler's Anthem. It's a tune written, relatively modern tune, but it's associated with the Civil War. It's called Ashokan Farewell, written by J. Unger.